Welcome back to the Daily Dose. My name is Jeff Hansen. I am your host. As always, the show is brought to you by Give'emHellBrigham.com and CougarSportsInsider.com, part of the 24/7 Sports Network. Thanks, as always, for your support. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to the channel. Please like this video, share the video with your friends, and help us grow this platform here on YouTube. Today, I want to hone in and talk about some comments that Brock Heward made on a local radio station here in the Salt Lake market. Brock, the college football analyst for Fox Sports and the former Washington Husky, joined Scott Gerard and Hans Olsen on 1280 the KSL Sports Zone last week, and he offered his insights into the Pac-12 media rights negotiation, the Big 12, and everything that's happening between those two conferences. Brock is in a really interesting spot. He calls a lot of Pac-12 games. He is a Pac-12 alumni council member. He is invested in the health and the future of the Pac-12 conference. But his insights and some of the things that he drew from his time with the commissioners last week are really fascinating as we look at how the entire landscape of college football is playing out right now. I'll link the show in its entirety in the comments. You need to check it out. The entire interview is worth watching. But I pulled out a few quotes that I'll read verbatim from Brock Heward as he's talking about the Pac-12 media rights deal. Now, to set some context, Brock met with ADs and commissioners last week in Arizona at the conference meetings. He spent one night with the Pac-12 and one night with the Big 12. And these were some of the comments that Brock had in his interview. You could not have had two different environments. With the Big 12, there was so much momentum, so much energy. The first-year commissioner is a driver. He is an expansionist, aggressive. You feel it. Talking about the Big 12, Brock said, I'm not going to say survivalist, but there was not a lot of vision cast, and how could it be with so much unknown? He said, now a couple of longer quotes that I think are worth digging into. Brock said, it was hard for me to listen to George Kliavkoff. It was the first time, and I've been around him probably a half dozen times. I sit on their alumni council. I've actually really appreciated much of his tone and center. I thought last year at Media Days, he was bold. He was borderline gruff. Surely there was disappointment with SC and UCL leaving and all of that, but I thought he handled that really well. This is the first time, Monday night, where I'm like, I don't like the sound of this. I don't need to hear about the water polo team and how you went 19-2 out of conference. Nobody in this setting needs to hear any of this right now. What they need to hear is a direction. What they need to hear is that we're close to a deal. And the last quote, Brock offering his opinion about where things are at with the Pac-12's media rights negotiation. He says, my gut and my hunch is that there is a deal there, but it's not at the numbers, anywhere near the numbers that they want. It's likely a deal that's going to be spliced amongst a bunch of the networks. I thought that the company I work for, Fox, was out. I got a sense over this week that they're not, because right now I think a lot of these networks are feeling some blood in the water. That there may be a number now that at first the Pac-12 scoffed at, but now they may have to live with. It may be a number that doesn't compete with the Big 12, but it is a number that at least keeps this group together. Really interesting insight, and I don't want to get into the, I'm certainly not an insider on expansion, an insider on media deals or anything like that. I'm not going to get into what happens next for the Pac-12, but I do think that Brock offers some really interesting insight. And as we look at what that means for BYU and the Big 12, how grateful are all of us, BYU fans, Big 12 fans, that Brett Yormark is the leader of this conference. As the Big 12 moves forward, as long as Commissioner Yormark is at the helm, it feels like there is a lot of reason to be confident. Everybody who interacts with Brett Yormark in a formal setting, in a business setting, or in a personal setting comes away raving about his leadership, his vision, and his aggressiveness towards reaching that vision. I think it's a fantastic fit for the Big 12 conference that has so many schools that are just waiting for somebody to lead them, somebody to play offense, and somebody to be aggressive. Brett Yormark is the right man for this job, and he has solidified the foundations and the future of 12 schools that they didn't know what their future held just a few weeks ago, a few months ago. Brett Yormark is the man. And on the flip side, George Kliavkoff seems like he is playing catch up, and he talked about taking grenades from the Big 12. I don't know that he's taking grenades anymore. I think the grenades have eliminated his fort, have eliminated his shelter, and he's just scrambling right now, and that's what it feels like. I don't know what tomorrow holds for the Pac-12, but I do know that Brett Yormark will still be the commissioner for the Big 12, and that should be enticing for anybody outside of the Big 12 who has the opportunity to join forces with the Big 12, because Brett Yormark will help solidify their futures as well. As always, thank you for tuning in to the Daily Dose. Please subscribe to the channel, and until next time, give 'em hell.